This is Powercast. So, episode 3, Nicholas. A lot of people have been listening to us, and we are still walking that oddly balance of trying to reach out the consumer and the dealership side of things. Today, we're not going to bring up any kind of vehicle specs, and we're actually going to focus on no specific brands or anything. We're actually going to just focus on culture of the industry and products that you have and how a dealership should tap into those cultures.
Yeah. So how a dealership should go out to the communities that have already been established to help drive their sales.
And now we are also going to have 2 guests on today, and they will introduce themselves, but one of them is a motorcycle enthusiast, and one of them is just actually a pure outside consumer that can tell us about from his experience.
He's an influencer, so he knows how to get out there and help build communities, and his experience in events and how companies have used him to bring in traffic.
And to just bring up some notes about the Powercast specifically, we're actually trying to launch every Monday. There will be a new episode that may be posted on that Monday or on Friday. Depends on the time we have to do it. But every Monday, there will be a new episode for you to listen and tune into.
Yep.
So obviously plug into our social media platforms, everything like that to get behind the scenes. We're actually going to start doing a little bit more filming in that aspect. And hope you guys enjoy the community and continue to give us responses and how we can be better and what topics you may want us to bring up, whether you're a consumer or a dealership. So, Nicholas, can you explain to me what does it mean of a culture of a brand?
So in all power sports, whether you're off-road, on-road, watercraft, people who like to do an activity, whether it's riding, all that kind of stuff, tend to start coming together. So they start building friendships and they start building a community. So outside of them, most communities start on a specific brand or type. So there's motorcycle communities. Within motorcycle, a lot of them start doing it by brand. So there's BMW cultures. There's Harley was one of the biggest one everyone knows of, the Harley community. But it's in everything, UTVs, ATVs, everything has a community of people who have gathered together who like all the same thing.
And these are the enthusiasts. These are the people that maybe know more than your average sales guy when it comes in. I know about the snowmobile industry that every year when that comes around, I talk to a snowmobile enthusiast. He knows 10 times more than I do. But these are the people that are most loyal to buying new products, wouldn't you say?
So a lot of those guys will go to the motorcycle. They'll buy a brand new bike. They'll wait 2 years, then they'll get the newest bike. Same with the UTVs. They'll keep coming back and back and back. And it's really important for a dealer to try and get that customer because they're going to be a repeat customer.
Okay, what if you are a specific dealership that only does motorcycles versus a dealership that does motorcycles and off-road and maybe scooters and maybe personal watercrafts? Do you think that they should just focus on one group, or do you think they should try to diversify themselves as much as possible?
The more communities you can get into, the more avenue you have for your sales department. The more communities that center around your dealership, the better, because they are your natural advertising. When a new person comes into their group or when one of their friends is interested in getting into it, you want your dealership to be the name to go to. If a guy says, hey, I want a new motorcycle, who has good deals, who's a good dealer, you want the community themselves to tell the new people to go to your dealership. So building that connection with the communities is basically free advertising with them just putting your name out because you have the best experience as a dealer.
Yeah, and we're in the digital era now where we actually have the aspect of where a lot of groups communicate through Eventbrite, Facebook groups, and maybe even certain hashtags that if you want to talk about the Facebook the Instagram platform, then you can reach out to them. Really, all it does is ask to be involved. Hey, you're a Triumph Club, and I sell Triumph motorcycles. I would like to be part of that, and you can easily get in. What's another way do you think that a dealership, other than just DMing into groups and trying to get into groups and talking to them and maybe having permission to show ads, what do you think is a way that a dealership can get themselves involved with these communities?
So on top of what you mentioned, where you can go into their forums and be like, hey, we're a part of it, Another huge entry to that would be going to the events they throw. So a lot of these groups have events. The UTV guys, they'll have a trip up to the Rubicon. So they'll advertise it on Facebook, any other forums. We're going to be in the Rubicon this weekend. Everyone in the group come show up. So what you can do as a dealer is use a demo, use your personal UTV, and go up to the Rubicon with them and be like, hey guys, get a part of the community. And then you can be like, oh yeah, by the way, we're a dealer. So if you break anything, come on down, hang out with us, and you kind of build yourself into that kind of relationship. Same goes for motorcycles, scooters, ATVs. All these communities have these events that you can actually physically go out to and start putting faces together.
And that's really what it is. It ends up becoming maybe on your day off or maybe moving some man hours around of where you actually participate with that community. And that's like the simple introduction version. I would say the more advanced versions that you can end up getting into is that you can sponsor them. You maybe give them t-shirts for that event, or you say like, hey, I'm going to give you guys all lunch. And all of a sudden, maybe you're like, is that $700 worth it? But I can tell you, if they're a part of any kind of club, if they have any kind of exclusivity to them, you even say like, yeah, if you show that you're part of this charter, you come in and you get 10% off on your service change. So now you have these different aspects of incentivizing them to be part of your community. And I think if you're joining the community and being part of it, it's less salesman approach and they will trust you more. We will always try to put that authenticity. If you're not a motorcycle enthusiast, make sure you send an employee that's a motorcycle enthusiast. Don't try to just do it because you want to do it and you're the marketing guy and you have to do it. No. Try to encourage the sales guy or the other person that's actually enthusiast about the thing to be like, hey man, I got you coordinated into this event. I mean, he's an enthusiast already. He probably wants to be part of that event anyways. What would you say is what would you say is the way that the dealership can really be personable without advertising from your experience?
So for me, it is nice when a dealership will go in motorcycles when they have a brand new bike or the newest technology to not like advertise it to the community, but kind of like just show it off. Look how cool this new LED screen on it is. Look how cool these shocks are. So it's not an advertisement as much as it is showing off a new thing to the community. So you're not directly advertising it, and yet you are by being associated with your dealership on showing off the cool new things.
That's the purpose and the basis of what you call open house. And so a lot of large manufacturers like BRP and Triumph, they really like to push out, hey, have an open house about this thing. And if anything, I really do recommend putting a spin on that open house to where the open house is open to the public, and then maybe during your normal closing time, you invite people of that group for a VIP exclusivity where you close down the store, but only the VIPs people can come in, and you give them drinks and food. And again, you're just showing off a new product. And so now you've gone out to their event. Now there's going to be some of them who feel obligated to come back to your event, which generates foot traffic.
You can have like you said, that your open house, and you can invite people who aren't a part of that group to come in and talk to people who are in that group, and they can start getting connected, and it builds that community and builds your own traffic.
Yeah. So we're actually going into the aspect of who are in the groups. And one thing that I've learned that come out in the last year and a half or so is that the groups end up getting built by influencers. Mm-hmm. And these are people that are enthusiasts. They're really good in the digital space, and they have their own little part-time time, but they post everything. They might even get sponsorship from manufacturers, et cetera, et cetera. And you would be amazed if you see that kind of influencer or someone that has that kind of digital presence, how easy you'll be like, hey, my dealership would like to sponsor you. So now you got the group aspect of everyone like that, and then you have the influencer that's part of the group reaching out to large consumers. So, and honestly, outside of maybe, I think starting out, if you have a really growing influencer, maybe they have less than 10,000 people on their Instagram followers and stuff like that, you can easily get them into a program where you give them a card that says a QR code, and once they hand out that card and actually something comes in, like tracks from that card that influencer hands out, you pay them a dividend. So every card that comes in being a lead, I'll give you $20. Yeah. The influencer is going to push that card out, and hopefully 13% of that comes in. And that'll be, there's so much strategy that you can have building, and it's really, really target specific.
it's nice to have that influencer, because as a part of the community, it's hard when you even know the guy, sales guys out there, because you know he's still a sales guy, whether he is trying to be a part of the community or is part of the community. In the end, you know he is ultimately going to focus on his sales. When you get an influencer, you, as a community part, you feel like they're more connected because they're not trying to push the dealership. They just have high opinions of the dealership. So it's a little less salesperson oriented, and it's more, I want to represent this dealership because it actually is a really good dealership.
Well, we're going to be signing off on this segment, going into our interview. We would like to let you know that this studio is sponsored by ATV Wholesale. They are located off of Auburn. You can reach them at their website at atvwholesale.com. And where they are proud sponsor of fun, cool CF Moto vehicles and other Chinese brands for scooters, ATVs, and dirt bikes. Give them a call and ask for Doug Stabler. All right, so this is our interview stage, and we got Leah Carson here, and we got Arndt from Sacramento Radio Talks and Broadcasting. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So, Leah, go right ahead.
Hi, I'm Leah. I run a Hellcat Riding, a Facebook group page, also Hellcat LLC, with the Sacramento community.
Okay, and then Art?
I'm Arnie States from the Arnie States Show. Used to do radio for like 20 years here in Sacramento. Now I have my own podcast that you can find at ArnieRadio.com.
All right, so we have these two people on here. We have one that's really much into the motorcycle community, and then we have someone that's about the entertainment community and really has been involved with the community in a different aspect. We're trying, with this PowerCast, trying to get people to have different perspective for the consumer to know what they should expect from the dealerships and how the dealerships can execute the best. So, Leah, just explain your platform. What is Hellcat Riding?
Hellcat Riding started a couple years ago, just a Facebook group page that turned into something else once I had my accident July 4th of 2017. Complete squid, no gear, ate crap on Ice House Road up in off 50 and Ice House Road. And I turned this into something else where I don't want to have people giving the excuse anymore of they can't afford gear, because that's why a lot of people in the Sacramento bike scene don't wear any, or they just say it's too hot. But honestly, when you eat pavement at 80 miles per hour, it just rips you apart.
Yeah, it's probably not a fun adventure, huh?
Yeah, so I threw together, a jacket drive where I collected over 100 motorcycle jackets from people from around the entire area. I don't even remember how far I went. And then I put on an event where there was food, there was music, entertainment. Told everybody, I tried to blast it out and advertise that motorcycle jackets were going to be given out for free right off of 47th and 99. Turned out to be completely successful. I interviewed every single person. People showed up and, they went to sleep knowing that they could afford a jacket. They just took advantage or whatever, but that's not the whole point that I went through the whole collecting of them. I went through that whole process. It turned out great. Was able to take care of every single person that came through, and then walked away with like 20 more and gave those others away. So that experience for me turned my mind, because the feeling I got when I was able to help people just completely changed my view on life as a person.
And that was 2017, and just recently you started going into doing full time.
Yes. So I left my job as a full-time bookkeeper and in August 4th, and I just gave everything I could and said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to completely just continue helping the bike community, and not just with jackets, but now I'm doing it so that because on my Facebook ride page, there's always somebody going down. Like every week, you get a post. So-and-so went down, or so-and-so got hit by a car, or they, some lady pulled out in front of them. And it's insane how common it is now. And so now, I want to make it so that people are able to take their own motorcycle to a racetrack and top it out there, where there's no cars.
And that's the reason why they buy it, to have that kind of fun, that thrill, that excitement. But then obviously there's training courses with those tracks that will help you out in the road. So the aspect of this is two-part. We talk about consumer output, and obviously you're a consumer of the motorcycle, sports bikes industry, and then we talk about the dealerships. What is your opinion about the motorcycle community and which direction it's going, and how a dealership should reflect that community?
I think that more dealerships should actually be more involved with the bike community. As in, I'm not going to say that, I mean, there's a few ride pages out there right now, and the people that run them should be known more when you walk into a dealership. Not like, there's a ride page going on, or what bikes. I guess a way of I'm trying to get out is I want them to be more educated on when they're
what the community is.
Yes. They want
So
to be
that's a simple practice that you can easily go into, where you find out that, hey, I'm going to go to Facebook page and type in motorcycle groups, and then you end up getting part of it. And you ask the president, you ask the group leaders, like, hey, who do I have to contact? And you just have your marketing rep on that platform. Just be aware. And obviously, on another side, I'm pretty sure, Leah, I've worked with you on some other dealerships and placed some ads there, and you're okay with it because it's beneficial for the community. And so you're actually 100% putting no money being involved in those online things. Facebook in the last year has really been going deep into advertising and pushing groups and less ads. So that's your revenue. If you're putting money into ads and you're not getting the same response that you're getting 2-3 years ago, the next aspect that you're going to be able to get is that you're going to go, hey, I'm not getting that much revenue, but this group thing that Facebook's currently pushing is really good. And then we have Leah here telling us, hey, be part of the group, and it's okay to advertise as long as it's beneficial to the group. That's cheaper for you, and it's going to be a better response because it's 100% direct targeting. Mm-hmm. So the aspect of being participant in the community more outside of the group and online versus, how would the dealership encouragement foot traffic into the store, and what would you think would be really beneficial?
Really advertising more, like you said, with the groups. If you're targeting certain ages, so there's just no certain age group. It's like saying someone that's been riding dirt bikes for 14 years, or being 14, not 14 years, being 14 and walking into a dealership at 16, they could potentially target a leader bike, 1,000cc bike. But I think that the dealership should really be, like I said, more educated on who is in the community and what they're looking for, and pushing, are they pushing safety? Or are they pushing just sales?
Right. So, we have you on the show for a certain reason. You have an event that's coming up with your Hellcat riding and everything like that, and you have a strategy based on it where you're going to have, I think you're going to have suspension tuning right now. You're working in avenues of possibly getting a dyno there that's still on the fence and everything. But you used to work in a lot of the public events and community events, mm-hmm. and we always want to grab from the outside source, not just 100% in the dealership, because the dealership should learn how to pivot and change its strategy. So what would you say you learned from the other communities you've done, maybe with car dealerships or just even public events, to get people at those events? What have you learned that works?
Well, it's weird because I've done a lot of events at dealerships and things like that, and a lot of people are there just to be there for a car. They don't care if the radio station's there. They don't care about that. They want their free prize, then they go. They could care less if you're there. But if you make it like something worth being there, if there's a prize that you have that you can give away that makes it worth being there, and you can keep all the sales guys away from taking all your other prizes, mm-hmm. then people will show up and they'll pay attention.
So like a sweepstakes, a drawing.
I'll never forget the first promotion I ever did in radio 26 years ago. We gave away a jet ski. We gave a jet ski, and we were at some sort of jet ski type place, and we were giving it away. And we had 2,000 people there, and only 100 people were registered, but we had stuff that we were giving away all day long. And, it was a great event.
Now, this is a really interesting aspect. You said that was 26 years ago. Excuse me if I misquote you. I know you said that was 26 years ago. We're actually in a digital age right now where if you do a sweepstakes like that, you can actually grab the content of them putting in their email address into the sweepstakes. Then you take that email aspect, and then you have your weekly campaign, your local campaign, your email campaign that you can now advertise them. Art didn't have that years ago,
no.
And now we can definitely do that. And they can, once you do that, just make sure you have this fine print of that sweepstakes paper that they turn in, that this will be added into the newsletter. And then they just go and you end up doing it. Now, they may unsubscribe to your newsletter. They may say, hey, don't ever message me again. But you know what? If you put a 20% off on certain helmets after that event, and if any one of those people bought that vehicle, they're going to come right back and you're going to get more revenue from your other streams. So the aspect of continue going into events, do you want to plug in your event here and what it is and what you're going to do here?
Well, I'm hosting now all the Cycle Gear Sacramento bike nights. But I'm also doing my own deal with helping the riders get to the track with, I totally provide the services for the transportation. I have the suits. They just have to take care of their boots. They have their helmet, their gloves, the lunch, the personal instructor, one-on-one with the certain track providers. But yeah, no, and then the Cycle Gear Bike Nights, which will have all the,
What is worked in like advertising and reaching out to the community to participate in these events? Because like you said, the 11th of June in Cycle Gear Northern California, you'll be having a big event. And why is that a big event? Why are people talking about it? Why did I hear it through Facebook before you told me?
Advertising. Completely advertising it and pushing it out there. It really is just a matter of taking the time to go and push it. Because what I'm doing right now, I'm not stopping. I'm just going,
send it, full send, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
send it.
So that aspect, it's all digital?
It's all digital. Well, and then going into making myself, presenting myself at certain places that don't know me. And because I'm not really well known, but I am at certain dealerships. But I want to make sure everyone, if I can reach every single, even if it's little bike shops, if I can reach every dealership, and then, other stores or other venues that are motorcycle related.
What do you think is the value of dealerships going to these events? And go ahead and chime in if you think about outside third-party participants. I had one dealership going to a accessories and parts store coming in. And what's your opinion on that, Leah? And then Art, follow up, please.
Well, I just had a recent experience, and I don't want to throw any dealership names out there, but a gentleman had been doing the Cycle Gear Bike Nights for probably 4 years ago, and he said that it was just a waste of time to show bring the bikes there. People walk right by them, and then they just continue because they're only there for the free items or whatever. But honestly, now with the electric bikes, the ones that I had seen.
We're going to put a little plug in for Zero, built in Santa Cruz and California, local American made, and a lot of police officers are quietly sneaking up on people
0
on
to
those.
60 in 2 seconds?
0 to 60, the new SRF.
Yeah.
Electric.
No clutch.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's an amazing bike. We'll probably be doing a special on that in the coming weeks about electric motorcycles and how it's coming. But going into advertising of themes and staying on course, your dealerships participating in events.
I want to see every single brand there. That having the bikes there, having people actually, because a lot of bikers are intimidated when they walk through the door of a dealership because they don't want to be hounded, or some of them don't even hound them. They feel uneducated when they walk in. I think that when somebody brings a bike to an event like that, they actually get to know, and they get to have their one-on-one conversation with whoever's there representing that dealer.
So we actually are working on a strategy at your event, at a certain dealership, is that we actually bring in multiple brands. And one thing that our Powercast has said a lot is that every brand has its own niche and thing, and every person's an individual. So, and everyone has a different pricing budget, and every brand exists because it's slightly different from somewhere else, and it has a benefit that may be for you, whether it be budget, whether it be tires, whatever it be stock, whatever it may ride. Maybe it's hot, maybe it's cooler, maybe it positions you well. There's so many aspects, and there's so many brands that have their own niche that we actually have, like we've mentioned, the Zero electric motorcycle coming there. We're going to have a really MotoGP RSV4 there, and then we're going to have a cafe racer from Triumph there, and then we're going to also have the new Riker. I mean, that's a goofy, like these are wide spreads of different types of on-road vehicles. Art, what is your opinion about collaboration events?
I don't know why people wouldn't want to go to those events. You have an interested group in your product, and why wouldn't you want to go there? Because those are your clients. I worked at a rock station for 23 out of the 26 years I was in radio, but I'm a bigger country music fan. I would go to country shows and people would see me there and they'd be like, oh wow, he's a country fan too. And those aren't our listeners, but I could convert them to our listeners. So if you show up, if you don't want to show up at an event like hers, I think you're missing out. Those are potential people that you could bring into your dealership if you showed up, because you never know. Like you were saying, everybody has a niche. Everybody has their own cool stuff that they like. And if you find, like, if I were to find a sunglass shop in town that carried these Dylan sunglasses, I would spend all my money at that shop because these are my favorite glasses I've ever worn. But I have to order them online because nobody around here carries it. So if I were to find a place that carried it,
there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer.
I had a question and I lost it, but forgive me. But you mentioned like as a collaboration focus, and what would you say the response, the counter question to that be? A dealer who actually has to worry about transportation, the insurance liabilities, and then the handling of the man hours. We don't want to forget, like, the dealership, that takes a lot of like logistics to be able to make that kind of movement. Do you think that value of probably close to $500, $700 for a 3-hour event is actually worth it?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yes, absolutely.
See,
Yeah, I mean,
so the community has
it's
spoken.
It's advertising. That's the main thing. It is now you're not giving a check to somebody like me to voice a commercial. You're actually putting your product in the eye, in front of your people, rather than just having me say, "Hey, come down to Joe's, parts and bikes today, and we're going to do this." No, I mean, I think that's a way better way.
Yeah, last week we actually had a minicast, if you missed it, listeners, that we actually had a dealership-specific minicast that talked about having that personal influence where you don't just, like, as Art was just saying, come to Joe's and this is this, but saying like, hey, this is Joe and I'm talking about the bike. And now that's the event platform allows you to do that in a personal relation instead of video, like we talked about last week. At the events, is there more that a dealership can do? Both of you chime in, that a dealership can do that's outside of just setting up a table, putting the bikes there, and having 3 guys stand behind the table?
Oh, absolutely. If these bikes are demo bikes, because obviously a dealership doesn't want to pull a bike they're going to sell off the lot, because it's just,
It's into cost values off the chain.
it just destroys the whole cost value. But if they could do a demo, if they could just talk to people, not make it so unapproachable, because a lot of people are really, like I said, they're intimidated. I'm a girl, and I'm not.
What?
I don't.
What?
I don't get intimidated by many
more you
people.
know.
But people don't really intimidate me. I'll walk up to anybody and I'll talk to anybody. But there's a lot of girls that ride now, and they, their bikes are older. They don't have brand new bikes. They don't push themselves to go educate themselves to go purchase a new bike, so they don't have to keep, working on the same one, fixing things left and right. But if the dealers actually walked around and they talked to people, or if they showed the bike, or if they even did a test demo, that'd be pretty cool.
But I mean, even like turning it on and revving it for a
Yeah,
little while.
well, not if it's an electric bike, because that's not.
No, it's going to be, woo.
I know. That's gonna be interesting for me. I don't know.
But you have to have incentive reasons for them to visit you, and so I would recommend, like, you cut out little things, little tags, a little QR code that maybe you'll give them $15 off their oil change. I remember you said before on your other platforms that the sports bike community is kind of a cheap community. It's kind of a poor community. I think is how you better say
Everybody's
it.
broke.
Yeah, everyone's broke. So I mean, that kind of incentive, even if it's $15 off on the next oil change or next change cleaning, whatever they have to do next, could be good for that beneficial of that company.
Exactly.
So and then obviously then you're generating foot traffic. Obviously you're generating a relationship more, and then next thing you know, you have 15 people coming to your booth being like, "Hey man, you got $15 I can use on my bike."
Everybody likes free stuff. Everybody. Yeah. I don't know someone that would say, "No, I ain't going. There's too many free things there." I mean, really.
Okay, so Art, your opinion about the motorcycle community and where you think, from an outside perspective, where you think it's going to go?
The motorcycle community? I don't know a lot about the motorcycle community. I'm afraid. I keep my eye out for them a lot. Like, when they're riding in traffic and stuff, I try to keep, because I have a lot of friends who do ride motorcycles.
There you go. So the reason why I asked the question is because you're not a rider, but yet there's a persona of where people that are not riders, like, oh man, they just want to take over the road and they just want to get in the way and everything like that. So it's important. The reason why you're on the show is to have that opinion. So your opinion about the motorcycle community, where even though you're not a rider, do you think it's gang of people that just want to run wild and
No, not at all. No, I understand what they're doing. Like, look, if I didn't have balance issues, I'd probably try it. But I would be safe about it. And I think that's the biggest part to me is that people like her, I just found out she's a girl. I mean, the safety stuff, the jackets, the boots, the helmets. I remember a friend of mine in Reno, they went on a cause saying to try to get people to wear the full helmet, not just the top helmet. And I was like, okay, I thought a helmet was a helmet. And they explained to me why it wasn't.
Yeah, eat up your chin.
And I think that's the important stuff that the community of motorcycle riders should share with the outside community, because we don't know how dangerous.
Yeah, and I think CHP in California, at least, has been really doing a good job with where they actually have Motorcycle Awareness Month. You see advertising billboards, and I mean that's appreciated. But it's like you said, it's a poor community. They have to choose what they want to go after and what they want to enjoy, and we as human beings have no right to take that from anyone. Yeah. And now, in the community, what's your opinion about the community? You think you don't like them? You just want to ignore them?
Oh, I hate my community. No, I don't know. I feel like a mother hen, and I want to take them under my wing. The ones that are really into riding, there's so many of them that are out there that are so poor, and they just want to learn more about their bikes, and they want to learn, and they want to ride hard, But then you got the streets.
You got to teach them. You got to save them.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I appreciate both of you guys coming on the show. I hope that you guys had a little bit of fun, and we'll definitely make sure that we try to reach out to you again. This is the interview process ending down, and I thank you guys all. All right, Nick. Sorry I had to kick you off the couch there, but
gotta make room for some people.
Yeah. So, as an outside view, what did you think about what they had to share?
So it was really interesting seeing the two sides of it. Her being part of the community and actually being the head of the community, versus Arnie, who is out of the community, but he has a really interesting insight into marketing and event coordination. Because again, he did a lot with communities and trying to build that community around his product. So it was really interesting hearing how a lot of what he did is a lot of people are just there for the free stuff. So even if you're not going to do free stuff, having something there to drive people towards you.
An incentive.
Yeah, an incentive for the consumer and your communities to come to you.
Whenever you do or implement any kind of strategy, you always have to ask why. Yeah. What's the benefit for you and what's the benefit for the consumer? And then, this is a really hard part. A lot of people are so about short-minded, short-centeredness, but you have to think about 3 months from now, how that one event may help them out again. So that's that, and again, power sports is a seasonal thing based on the enthusiast. So that's why you have to try to think of that 3 months from now, because that's maybe when they have to do their snow check or they have to do their winterization for their jet ski. So I just really recommend that as a dealership, but then also as a consumer, like ask the dealership, like, why should I buy from you?
Another thing I really found interesting is when she was talking about her jacket drive. I found that really interesting because as a dealer, that would have been an awesome thing to hop onto.
Oh, that's a good point.
Because you could have had all your bikes out there and all these people going to get jackets could have seen your brand new bikes. And whether they could afford them then...
That's when you push the pre-owned.
That, or like I said, in the next 2 years when they do come to some money, what was the dealership that was there helping give out jackets, helping to give out helmets, giving discounts on them? Who was that dealer who's supporting this community of safety? Should be your dealership, should be out there.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe when they go into shopping, they'll think that you're not going to, because you're so much about the community, you're not that much of a price gouging, or your brand and your culture isn't about, they're just trying to get the price out of me. No, you actually know already these people care.
About the safety of the riders, about the community. They're out there trying to support the community, not just trying to push sales.
So we're going to go into just ending out the show, this thing. Next week, we're going to be talking about BRP's relationship with Turo, the rental program, and what aspects they're coming up with, followed up by also we'll have a guest speaker of the Sacramento Spider Charter, and then we will end it probably in asking him in the comparison of what does he think of the Riker, how it's done, and where do you think the 2020 Riker is going to go? So again, we want to make sure that we say that the studio sponsorship is ATV Wholesale Outlet, and you can reach them at atvwholesaleoutlet.com. Go ahead, give them a call, and ask for Doug Stabler. They'll help you out with any CF Moto needs and off any kind of Chinese brands that you may be interested. Really specializing in ATV, dirt bikes, and scooters. This is the Powercast signing off of episode 3. Please comment, email us at powersports147@gmail.com to give us any kind of lead, any kind of topics that you want to talk about, or tell us how we can get better. Therefore, we can actually be useful for you. We want to be useful. Follow us on our social media platforms. Therefore, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, behind the scenes, and awareness of any kind of minicast. The minicast is the marketing part, dealership focus, hoping to really become into a weekly content. We're not ready to make it a weekly content, but we do have one episode up, and it's talking about the value of video. So everyone, ride safe, drive safe, be safe.